Yeah, thank you. Welcome. Um, Exciting week. Obviously, it feels good coming off a hard-fought win versus a very good University of Hawaii team. Proud of our guys. Able to play well, and like I said, just feel good being able to come off that win. It's always good for your spirits. Everything's better. The water tastes better. Food tastes better. But it was still a one possession win, a one possession game, and fortunately, we were able to come on top. So we got to continue to get better. And we started our practice yesterday, and hopefully, we'll be ready for this week. Got an Air Force team coming in, and got a tremendous amount of respect for United States Air Force Academy, the coaches, Coach Troy Calhoun, one of the best in the business, one of the best coaches in the country. His two coordinators, Mike Thiessen, one of the best in the business. They're one of the best offenses in the country right now, scoring a ton of points, and they've scored a ton of points on everybody. Brian Noor, defensive coordinator, another elite coach. I mean, their coaching staff have gone against them many times. They're one of the best coaching staffs in the country. Um, and it's kind of like I would say to other people about us, don't look at our record. Like when we're getting ready to play Hawaii, we're 2-5, they're 6-2. But just come and get ready to play. They've been in a lot of close games like us, and pretty much they're in all their games. I had a chance to win all their games. Had a heartbreaking loss last week to Army. They had every opportunity to win. In fact, they outrushed them, outgained them, and every statistic, besides the win. But they lost the turnover battle, which they're normally good at, taking care of the football. Yeah, it's another great opportunity for us, and that's how we're looking at it. And I've told our guys, and our guys know this. I mean, we look at all the teams that we played in our conference. We know that we could have beat all of them, and we recognize that they could beat all of them could beat us. Uh, we see that we lost to Wyoming, and Air Force beat Wyoming. So in our league, I mean, anybody can beat anybody, and we got to be ready to go. And our mantra is 1-0, and hopefully we'll be ready. Any question? Yeah.
Yeah, that's Vicky Kino, SB Nation. Coach Calhoun's a class act, obviously, and just they're the epitome of discipline, technicality, conditioning, et cetera, et cetera. In your years at Navy, I mean, what are those sort of qualities or things that really shaped you as a person, even in coaching?
Yeah, coaching at the Naval Academy it was an honor, it's a privilege to coach there. You coach, wonderful young men. There's obviously there's women at the Naval Academy too, but they didn't play football. But the young men that I coached, just great men, just great people. Just there's not very many people that serve our country. I think it's like less than 2%. And it doesn't make the other 98% doesn't make you a bad person if you don't serve the military. But I'm saying it takes a special person to serve in the military. Um, I have a family full of people that served in the military. I didn't, what I mean? But those who did and those who do, I have a great amount of respect for them because of them, we can have the freedoms that we have. We live a great life here in America, the freedoms that we have. And you have those type of people that are willing to sacrifice their life. I don't understand it. That's amazing to me. That's um, like I said, I don't know if I could serve in the military, but those who do, I have a great amount of respect for them. And coaching there for 25 years, and I've gotten to see so many players go on and serve our country. Unfortunately, some of them paid the ultimate sacrifice. A lot of them have done really well in the military. A lot of them gone on to the business world and done well, but it was a great honor, Vic, to coach at the Naval Academy. So I think being around those type of people just taught you humility, appreciation, for those of our country that are willing to serve us.
Is there, I guess, a preparation, or how big of a preparation shift is it going from like a Hawaii high flying to a obviously very different Air Force scheme and philosophy? How much of that shift is it this week for you?
Well, our offense preparing for their defense, it's not much of a change. It's they're going to run what we've seen or forms of what we've seen during other weeks. I mean, they're a conventional defense that plays a lot of fronts and different coverages, but we would have seen some of those things. But you're right. What they do offensively is like on the other side of the world from what University of Hawaii did. I mean, one's at the North Pole and one's at the South Pole. They're just diametrically opposed or different, and so our defense has their work cut out for them. To kind of get ready for these guys because it's a totally different scheme, totally different approach, and they're really good at what they do. They know what they're doing. Mike's been doing this for a long time, so he knows what he's setting up. He knows what he's trying to get accomplished, and so, like I said, it's going to be tall order for us.
Aaron Johnson with the Mercury News, and this season, Danny Scudero just became the fastest receiver in SJSU history to hit 1,000 yards. What does that speak to about the offense and just about him?
Well, first of all, it's a testament to him. He's an elite, talented player. Grateful he came. Billy Ray, Stutzmann, and Craig did a really good job in recruiting him. Being a local kid definitely helped. But he came from Sac State. It wasn't like he came from an SEC school or Big Ten school. But for Billy Ray to recognize that, and Craig to recognize that he's exactly what we're looking for in our slots. And we went all in off season. I mean, as soon as in the portal, he was our number one recruit, and he hasn't disappointed. I mean, he's exceeded, all of our expectations. He's an awesome young man, just a great person. And so when you got people like that are really good players, but they're good people, it just helps your locker room. Sometimes you have your best players and they walk around like, like the prima donna or whatever, just get out of my way. I'm coming through, or, it just, your locker room is like, oh, whatever. You kind of, when you have those type of guys in your locker room, but Danny isn't that way. He's the humblest kid. And because of that, I think it ingratiates our team and brings our team together. And we still got 4 more games. I mean, like you said, he's at 1,000 yards, and we still got a long ways to go. And we were excited he was healthy. He wasn't healthy. Well, he got hurt in any part of Wyoming, and he played in Utah State, but he wasn't healthy. He could barely lift his arms, but he was healthy this past week, and we're excited to see what he'll do the rest of the season. But I'm super excited he came. He had a chance to go to some other Power 4 schools, and because of the recruitment of the Stutzmann brothers, he came, and boy, I'm glad that he came.
And then now that you've had a few days to kind of reflect on the Hawaii win, just, like you said, it was a 1-possession game. They brought it back close at the end there. Just what do you want to improve on from that game? And then what do you think you guys did well?
Yeah, just offensively, I thought we did a lot of good things. We're super explosive. We ran the ball for almost 200 yards. We threw for 450. I mean, it's about as complete a game that you want. I mean, to be able to do that. But we still had, it was the errors that we got to clean up. We had 2 holding penalties that negated 2 long gains. Lamar had a long run. They came back from a holding call. And we also had Leland on a crossing route, and we picked up a big first down. And both of them were going to be in scoring range, so you add 2 more points. And that would have helped us in a game that close. We had a little of a snafu and snapping the ball on that 4th down. We had, unfortunately, or fortunately, we won, but it's a lesson that, hopefully we'll learn that, that won't happen again. So I think there's some of those things, just kind of learning from that. Defensively, I thought our coverage stuff was better from the standpoint that, we weren't turning people loose. We got to make plays on balls. I think Coach Odum was saying that, like, 3 of their catches accounted for like 230 yards or something. And we're right there on some of them. Find a way to make a play on those balls. You take out those yards, but we didn't make the plays. And so that's the thing. Hey, just find a way to make a play on the ball. We thought our coverage stuff was better than it was Utah State, where Utah State, we turned some guys free. That wasn't the case this past game. We just got to make a play on the ball.
Hey, Coach Niles Hall with the Spirit. Before on Saturday night after the game, you said they had 24 hours to feel the win, celebrate the win. How do you think the team is turning the page ahead of?
That's a great question. I don't know. I mean, today, I don't know. I practice, and I gotta, we're gonna go watch film. I just got off the practice field, and I thought we practiced, but I don't know. I don't know if it was a check the box practice. I don't know if there's some attention to detail. I don't know if our guys are still sore from the game. But we got to move forward, like you said. We got to move forward. We can't look in the rearview mirror. We can't pat ourselves in the back. And if there's anything about that I know about the United States Air Force Academy, they're going to fight. They're going to come here and play hard. And they're not going to look at the score. They're not going to look at records. They don't even look at the opponent. Whoever it is across it, they're going to give you everything they have. And so I'm just concerned that just what you said, that hopefully we've forgotten about that, not worried about that, not celebrating, and getting ready for this team. And I've talked to our guys about not looking at their record. And I don't know, and I shouldn't say this, but I don't know if Hawaii looked at our record coming to play. I mean, they, probably Timmy was talking about the same thing, not to look at the record, but we knew we weren't a 2-5 team. We had some close lots, but we knew we weren't. And even though they're coming in 6-2, we knew we could beat those guys. And I guarantee you, Air Force feels the same way. And so hopefully the message is settling in. I'm going to reserve judgment till I watch practice, but I don't know, a little lukewarm on today's practice. Wasn't too high, too low, but hopefully our guys press forward.
Nicky Reyes with KSJS. Coach, you've seen this Air Force offense numerous times throughout your coaching career. Just how much different is it this year, just given Liam Zarka at quarterback and what they have at wide receiver? Just seems like they're passing the bar and have way more explosives through the air compared to previous years.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job, and I've played them a lot. I mean, over 30 times. I mean, as a coach and as a player. They're a lot more gun this year than they had last year. They're solely under center, or 98%, a lot under center. And for many years they were under center. I don't know if Mike and Troy felt like they had to diversify things a little bit and get in the shotgun. So they're doing a lot more shotgun stuff. Normally their number one ball carrier is always their fullback, or their super back, or whatever they call him. But their guy in the back was normally their number one ball carrier, and they were really good when their guy. They would just keep feeding him, and they would wear you down. But they've kind of gone away. Their number one ball carrier now is a quarterback. Reminds me of some of the guys that we had at the Naval Academy. Can run, can throw it. He's tough. He takes shots, but gets up. He doesn't get rattled. He's not a quarterback that gets hit and he comes up limping or stuff. He bounces right up. They spread you out. They throw the football. Their play action stuff is lethal. And if you got your eyes in the wrong place, which many people that play them do, because it's hard. You're trying to play against them in the run, and you're trying to stop the run. Next, they got 3 guys running past you, and all of their plays are well designed to get guys open. They put a lot of stress on you, with 3 receivers to a side, and sometimes getting a 4th guy, or they leak a guy out. They got a lot of quarterback run stuff. Is a big part of what they do. But they still give the ball to the fullback. They can still get under center and do some of that stuff that they've done for years. But I think the diversity of their shotgun is what they've done this year. And they've done that in the past. They've just kind of brought it back and kind of added some wrinkles to it. But over the years, and obviously, like you said, I've studied them a lot. And over the years, they've tinkered with different things. And I don't know if it's like maybe the last 4 or 5 years they've been solely under center, and previous years they were in the shotgun, where this year they've gone back to being a shotgun. I think a lot of it is to try to maybe loosen defenses up. Like I said, they can still pound you with the fullback and get under center, but a lot more diversified in what they do. And like you said, it all starts with Liam. He's an impressive kid.
And then just how essential is time of possession in a game like this week, just given how they could control the ball and go on those long sustained drives? Is that something you're preaching, you and your staff this week, to just maximize every possession?
Yeah, more than time of possession, which I always was at the Naval Academy. At the Naval Academy, it was always time of possession. But I've changed since I've been here. I mean, when I think I shared this example when I was at UCLA. I've always been turnover margin and explosive. Well, I've always been turnover margin, but Chip Kelly shared a stat that if you win the turnover margin and you win the explosive plays, if you have more than your opponent, you win 98% of your plays, your games. And so that's why I've altered my thinking that way. Yes, I'd like to possess the ball, but that's not a premium anymore for me. It's like you said, we got to maximize our possessions. So when we do get the ball, we got to score. It's more that just score every time we touch the football. We're going to be on attack. That's kind of what we do. And yeah, it's more of maximize your possessions, take care of the football, and then we kind of go from there. Try to get them off the field. We can't give up explosive plays, which they're really good at getting. We got to find a way to stop the quarterback, which is easier said than done.
just stemming off that, Coach. So with obviously a dominant run game, and then obviously not doing too well in the win column, that philosophy change you had from Coach Kelly. If you just had an analyst hat on Air Force, I mean, do they need to keep tinkering, or they're just kind of like just those plays short, or is it just kind of
Um, I know that I couldn't have got into the Air Force Academy. Troy Calhoun, he's an Air Force grad. Most of his staff are Air Force grad. Vic, they're way smarter than me. I'm not going to tell them. I got my own issues over here. Just I'm gonna worry about our team, but yeah, just they'll figure it out. They're an elite football staff and elite coaches, and they're good people.
Coach right here, Vic Aquino, SB Nation. Obviously, you have years of experiencing as a service academies, Air Force, and obviously they're pretty consistent, familiar with their scheme and whatnot. Does it maybe make it a little bit easier in preparation coming these guys year to year versus like a Hawaii team?
Well, they change every single year with how they attack people. Their offense this year is different than it was last year. I mean, they're more spread out. They do more things in the throw game than they've ever done in the past, and so they're the top offense in our league.
Right.
So they're doing some really good things, and their quarterback makes everything go. He's a tough sucker. He's durable. He can throw the ball really well. Their offensive line is playing at a high level, so it's a different look to their offense than they've been in the past.
And the offensive line, they have some huge bodies. I think multiple 300-pound guys up there, and then like just thoughts on how that's gonna maybe pan out, or how you're gonna address that front.
Yeah, I mean, we faced some big offensive lines all year,
Yeah.
so it's just another one that we got to deal with. This is a tough double for us. We're playing a team that throws the ball as much as Hawaii did last week, to now we're facing number 2 rushing offense in the country. So it's a tough double, but the guys are up for the challenge. Are eager to get out there and see how they wear against a team as formidable as Air Force is offensively. It's going to be a challenge.
Aaron Johns with the Mercury News, and you mentioned kind of the dichotomy of the two offenses. Like, what is that like? Like having a bunch of defensive packages preparing for Hawaii to having like a completely different scheme this week for Air Force.
You can imagine it's a challenge for sure. You got to kind of flip your mode of operations. Before it was a lot of nickel and throwing the ball, and a lot of 7-on-7 last week, to none of that. It's more of a dealing with the run game and the play actions off of those type of runs. And so it is a big challenge. It's just part of our league. Our league has every aspect of offense you could face, each and every week. And so this is the next challenge that we have in front of us.
And then Coach Ken mentioned at the press conference after the win against Hawaii that you guys had a team meeting, and then on the defensive side, you guys talked about like how do you have to play to get a win? And then one player mentioned that you just need to play with more. The defense needs to play with more confidence. And then Ken said that was his favorite answer. And then I guess, what did you think about that? And then how do you feel like the defense played confidence-wise against?
Yeah, I thought it was better for sure. There was a couple of plays last week that definitely like to have back. I think there was 3 of them that ended up being some bigger chunk plays, and if those are not there, it'd be a really good statistical day, really. But we can't do that. And so I thought the confidence was good to start with. It kind of got a little shaky there in the second half, a couple drives, but then got it back late to finish it out. So again, that's just, football in general. When you got newer guys in some spots on defense, it just takes time to get them playing and being in those situations, so they learn and grow and have more confidence when they get in those spots again the next time. So it's ongoing. It's a big psychology test every single week to keep their mind in the right place and to execute at a high level. So challenge.
Then Caleb Presley got some more snaps against Hawaii. Just what did you think of his performance and what led to that decision?
Yeah, he did some good things out there for sure. I thought he was out there competing. He did have some errors in some things, but they didn't attack it at the time. And so again, he's new to it and still learning. But I was pleased with his effort. I thought that he played with some aggression, and he wasn't timid out there. And so that was a big key that helped him, enabled him to be in the right spot in some of those plays. So I was pleased with his first real outing.
And then Jordan Pollard, what did you think of his performance, and what does he mean to the defense as a whole?
Yeah, he had a huge day. I mean, statistically, he was off the charts. I think he had eight tackles. He led our defense in tackles, and all of them solo tackles. He only had one missed tackle, which is a big improvement for him in that regard. The big turnover that he forced fumble was big because we ended up scoring in that drive, and so that that ended up being the difference in the game. That turnover. He had a couple sacks. I mean, he was all over the place. He's a big part, and he was extremely vocal, which I wanted to see out of him. He's in a leadership position as a backer, and I'd love to see him with that fire and that vocal voice on the sideline and on the field that we need, that little spark, that little energy, and he brought it last week.
Hey, Coach, Niles Hall with the Spear. Did you see improvement in the secondary last week? And where do you think those guys can grow?
Yeah, I mean, I did see an improvement. Like I said, there was a couple big chunk plays that they had a 68-yarder that got over the top of us. I think there was a 45-yarder that we're there. We just got to make the play, and so those are, again, you just keep learning and teaching every single week. That's all you can do. You know what I mean? And pointing those things out there, they're eager. Those guys all want to do well. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're battling that. They're eager. They're here all the time. They want to watch film. They want to do all the things to get better, and that's all you can ask. And you just keep teaching and learning from the film, and go out on the practice field and work on those those deficiencies that a player might have, and just keep building confidence that they can go out in game day and execute at a high level.
How you doing, Coach? Nick Austin from Ziality. It was just mentioned about the dichotomy of the two offenses. Their quarterback Liam Zark is averaging just over 102 yards on the ground per game. What are the challenges that come with trying to contain him, considering obviously most teams have not been able to do so this season?
Yeah, I think, like I said, this year, in the past, everything's centered around the fullback, like take care of the fullback and the rest kind of falls into place. Well, now the fullback is not necessarily the focal point of their offense, and the quarterback is. And so with that, he can throw the ball well, so then that spreads you out even more, and so now he's more effective in running the football. So it's a big challenge. You got to handle the run game and also the throw game. Where in the past it was more so the run game that you had to handle. So that's why they're the top offense in the conference, because of that combination of being able to do both really well.
A few minutes ago, Coach Ken said the defense had a workout cut out for them. How is it just adjusting game plans from Hawaii and then to now for Air Force?
Yeah, you can imagine. It's like one extreme to the other. You know what I mean? And so there's zero carryover from one week to the next. And so usually you go into a game where there's certain things that, okay, the team last week did something similar. It'll be easy transition for this team that we're facing next. But this is on both ends of the spectrum. So again, we just got to start over, new stuff that we got to put in to handle the offense that we're facing that week, and go. That's what we got to do.
The Keno SB Nation, Coach. Obviously, with the offense, near complete games on the ground and the air, just what else do we need to see, or do you want to see, or need to be fixed, et cetera, et cetera?
I think just be more consistent. You look at the game, and the first two drives, we had touchdowns. First play of the game, we had a touchdown, and we underthrew it. We had a couple of drops here and there, and then just some misfires. So you look at the first two drives, it wasn't very clean. So starting off fast, I know we made a big point of emphasis of finishing. I thought we did a better job of finishing in the end zone. But even in some of in the series, right, it was like, there's a couple plays here and there, whether it was protection or if it was run game or if it was like the route was a little short and whatnot, is a lot better. I promise you, it's a lot better. But just be more consistent and cleaner. I really feel if our guys can continue to get better and just clean up those little mistakes, whether it's a holding penalty or whatnot, we have the ability to score every drive. And so we have the players. They're really talented, and they're executing at a high level, but just more consistent.
Coach Ken kind of alluded to you and Billy Ray and your I guess you call it recruiting prowess or whatnot, but with everything going on from like last year, the firepower this year, and I'm assuming you may be looking at your job, so you have fruitful options for recruits going into next year. And How's that kind of?
It's hard because we love the guys that we have committed in high school, no doubt. I mean, I thought from last year and what we were able to do offensively, Nick Nash had a large part to help with that, and he was a wonderful player. He's still playing the game at a high level, and offensive line wise, we got some guys in right now that's being developed. Running back wise, we had a lot of running backs this year, but we're gonna have to get more next year. And the guys that we have committed, we love. At the same time, too, though, there's gonna be other guys and spots for the transfer portal. That's just the way the game is. But you don't know who's going to transfer, right? Right now, you're kind of like just looking around and say, well, man, if this guy jumps in, he'd be really good. If this guy jumps in, he'd be really good. Hopefully, none of our guys jump in, but you got to be real about where you are this day and age. When you got guys that are fast and physical and they're scoring touchdowns, and you hear these stories of what other guys are getting paid to play. So the biggest, I guess, recruiting job we could do at the end of the season is try to retain the guys that we have, because these guys are really good.
Gotcha. And with Hawaii here, there's a lot of family, and a lot of feel like you're in Hawaii. And for some reason, somebody was saying something, but I remember you maybe a few weeks or a couple months back, your wife would have like anecdotes or metaphors, and you would share them with us. And anything new you can share. In terms of what's coming from her.
So this past week, she's talking about we gotta finish. We gotta just finish off this season. We gotta go to a bowl game. So she came up with something, and it's epic. We talk about being epic, epic finish and epic games and epic players, and the acronym for that is extraordinary players inspire comebacks. So, and extraordinary, that was my senior quote in high school. The difference between extraordinary and ordinary is that little extra. And we also talk about players. Players play the game. Players win games. Coaches don't win games. Players win games. It's always about the players. We talk about being inspirational. And in terms of each person, needs to inspire themselves before they can inspire others and play inspirational. And the last one is comebacks. We got, prior to last game, we got 5 games, guaranteed. And we just got to finish off the best that we can. And we got to come back. The fourth quarter, right, has been tough for us offensively. And we just got to finish and come back every single time. So that's what our motto is going offensively for the rest of the year is epic, for an epic finish.
And then Aaron Johnson with the Mercury News. And then Scudero has become the fastest wide receiver in San Jose State history to reach 1,000 yards. So just what has it been like to just have him in your wide receiver room this season? And what is the work he's put into achieve that goal?
It's been a blessing to have him here at San Jose State. But it's not just him. You got the offensive line that just does a great job of protecting and keeping Walker safe and keeping him clean. And it's Walker delivering accurate footballs and seeing the defense. It's the other receivers around. We look for unselfish players because you never know where the football is going to go. We call plays that it's not, I can call play knowing that it's exactly going to go here, just the way that we set the system up. And the way that our system works. But you got unselfish players. I mean, Kyrie Scholes is happy for Danny, just like Leland's happy for Kyrie when he makes plays, and he's happy for Danny. And so it's the unselfishness, JC, right? Jackson, he doesn't get as much targets, but he's happy for the guys and their success. And the running backs, the running backs the last few games have been playing unbelievable, right? So it's all of those guys that helps. It's just, Danny, he's built a little different. Like he's fast, and it's nice having him because we get that vertical stretch and it opens everything else up. And so it's a really good mixture of players that we have. And Danny's probably one of the most unselfish players I've ever been around. So we got a lot of guys that do things the right way for the right reason. And it's really, really fun. It's enjoyable. Even when when we were going through those games where we're losing in the fourth quarter and we can't finish, it's not like we come back to work on Monday or Tuesday and I don't want to be around these guys. These are great kids. They're great young men, and Danny's one of them.
And then what has it been like? You talked about it a little bit, but to see Chavez Soto and Radcliffe become that 1-2 punch and adding that running element to the offense on a high level.
I can't say this enough because everybody thinks I want to throw the ball every down. But I love when we run the football, and we can run the football. And like Coach says, we run the football on our terms because it brings that physicality. It brings that power, that punch. Is nothing like driving the field, handing the ball off, and just seeing our running backs go through the line and just finish in the end zone strong. That's different. I love throwing the ball in the air, the fireworks and all that stuff, and seeing Leland and Danny and Kyrie and Matty Coleman score touchdowns. That's fun. That fires me up. But talking about body blows, like those are body blows when Steve Chavez and Lamar can finish in the end zone, and the offensive line just gets juiced up. That to me, yeah, that's good stuff right there.
And then speak about the offensive line too. You guys have given up the least amount of sacks in the whole conference as of this point. Just how they've been, keeping Walker upright. Just what have you seen from them as a group?
Yeah, John Estes has done a wonderful job getting those guys right because we've had some, a little rotation going on with some guys getting nicked up here and there. We haven't had a solid five, probably more than 2 games at a time, and so it takes a lot. We do ask our offensive line to do a lot for us, and for like Joe Haber starting center, all of a sudden he's playing some guard, and we got Huddy in there, and so there's a lot of moving parts to that, and the other thing too is Walker does a great job of just getting the ball out quick. I was talking to somebody recently, and they said, Walker is at like a 50-something% completion percentage guy. I said, yeah, because he throws the ball away and he doesn't take sacks also, and the person looked at me like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. Walker does a good job of when there is some pressure, he gets the ball out, and guess what? The offensive line feels better about themselves. So it's a really good relationship. It works hand in hand. But those guys up front has done a really nice job every week, and John Estes has done a wonderful job with those guys.
And then you mentioned that you still want the offense to be a little more consistent. And is it nice to have that feeling after they put up 630 total yards of offense as well? So you're just correcting still while still having success as well?
Yeah, I learned from a lot of coaches. Been blessed to be around a lot of good coaches, and everybody says the same thing. You coach them harder when they have success. So we coach them hard today. We coach them hard on the film, but it's a lot easier correcting those things when you win. And whether you get 300 yards or 600 yards, or you score 45 points, or you score 15 points. The win's the win. But it does feel a lot better when you're able to put up numbers and make it easier for everybody on the team.
Hey, Coach Niles Hall with the Spear. How do you feel about the way Walker's executing the offense right now?
I think really, really happy. I think ever since the Texas game or that first half of the Idaho game, he's really settled into himself, his role, and he is playing at such a high level. So much so that he's able to come off the field and tell me, "Hey, Coach, can I get to this? Hey, what if we get to that?" And he's seen those things. The same time, maybe before I see it too. And okay, so we play Utah State. Obviously, we lose that game, right? But the game the play that we threw the touchdown pass to Leland. So we had a nice explosive play before there, and he looks at me and he signals to me the play that he wants. He called that play. That's Walker, and Walker's been doing a great job of just understanding what our players can do, what his teammates can do, and understanding what we're trying to do on offense. And he has a voice in what we do. And it's nice when your quarterback is at that level. And he's playing really, really high right now, high level.
And then moving towards next week's game, what do you see from Air Force's defense?
They are up front, physical team. They play hard. Like Coach said, academies, that's their time to go out there and run around. That's like their recess time, right? That's their time to go have fun. So they're going to play every single second, like with their hair on fire, because that's their time to cut loose and have a good time. I know they're probably a little bit younger in the back end, but those guys are athletic. And at this time of the year, on that back half of the year, you're not young anymore, right? You're seasoned. You played 7-8 games, whatever it is by now, and they've gotten better week to week. So I don't think their statistics reflect how they play. Their coaches do a great job with them, and they're in position to make plays, and those guys do make plays. We just got to make sure that we're playing harder than the opponent, and we just do our job and do what we're coached to do, and we just see how the chips fall.
Nick Urias with KSJS. Coach, you've talked about, just maximizing possessions, just overall, as we've talked to you this season, I guess just how essential is it, just given what you have on the other side with Air Force and, they kind of have more of those pass explosives more so than previous years, but they can also still go on those 10, sometimes 12-minute drives, just maximizing possessions this week. Just, is that something you're preaching more so than previous weeks, or?
No, try not to, because I've been there on the other end too. Um, don't play into that. Just go play the game. Because Central Michigan did the same thing, right? They're going to bleed the clock, and Idaho's going to bleed the clock, and who is it? New Mexico's going to bleed the clock, and everybody's going to try to bleed it versus us, and keep us off the field. But our defense has been getting those guys off the field, and we trust in our defense. And really for us, it's that mental warfare. We're not going to worry too much about if we get 40 plays. I think New Mexico, we didn't get that many plays too. We just got to just do the best that we can with it. Or it was Idaho, one of those teams that we didn't have too many plays. But as long as you go on the field, you go score touchdowns, have fun, everything is going to take care of itself.
How you doing, Coach? Nick Austin with Reality. You mentioned the run game earlier. I mean, the O-line earlier. You guys almost had 175 yards of offense on the ground this past game, especially considering the shuffling. What have you seen from them as far as improvement on that side of the ball?
Communication, gelling together, understanding where their targets are in terms of run game. They've been doing a much better job of passing off the games and the run in the pass game. I think identifying pressures and where the pressure is coming from, and then also executing their technique. If you can do those 4 or 5 things we just said, you're going to be really good on the offensive line, and then you can play faster and you can play more physical. But when you're kind of thinking so much, right, you're gonna slow yourself down, and it's what paralysis by analysis. And for us, we don't do a lot of plays up front. We give them a lot of freedom to get themselves into the right situation. And I think at a certain point this season, just told them, hey, listen, just be decisive and just go play fast and physical and let it sort itself out. We got tablets nowadays. We can come to the sideline. We can correct stuff. But what we can't correct is when you're playing slow and you're thinking too much.
And, you mentioned Walker's understanding of the offense.
Mm-hmm.
How does that translate to the other quarterbacks in the room, especially considering this is Walker's last year here and it's probably going to be one of those guys stepping into that role next year?
That is invaluable because at other places I've been, we were at one place in particular and nobody had played before, and the starter was a freshman, and it wasn't a great year for us. So there's peer-to-peer leadership is as important as coach-to-player relationships and leadership. The things that I can coach and the things that I can teach our players, it's going to be fine. However, when the guy doing it is the one that's also can help teach them, that's where you can take that next step. And I think it's been great because you see Walker and even Xavier Ward. Xavier Ward is smart. He understands what we're doing on offense, right? It's just not his time right now. But those two guys, specifically Walker, being able to talk to Robert McDaniel, being able to talk to Tom Amasone, and being able to give them the ins and outs of what we're trying to do and how we do it, and from his lens in the backfield, invaluable. I wish, hopefully he gets a chance to keep on playing in the NFL and everything. But if not, I'm going to hold him back here and let him go coach with us for a little bit and let these guys get going.